The old woman rushed forward towards Annabel, her hands outstretched, but before she could reach Annabel, the girl shoved her to the ground. Dust rose around her frail body. I don't know her. She's just a beggar, Annabel said, with a cold voice, stopping the man beside her from helping. The old woman lifted her face slowly, her eyes wide, full of tears. Shock and disbelief, she rose, packing a handful of sand in her hand. With trembling hands, she lifted the sand to the sky, pointed at Annabel, and spoke words that not even time could reverse. But who is this woman? Why would Annabel push her to the ground and deny her in public? And what truth lies behind this cruelty? Sit back and relax as we dive into this emotional African tale. Many years ago, in a small village where the red earth baked under the sun, lived a poor widow whose hands were calloused, whose back was bent, but whose eyes held a quiet fire, a fire burned of love that never faded, even when the world turned its back on her. She lived with her only daughter, a girl with bright eyes and a restless spirit. And for her, Agatha would give everything she had. Every morning, she rose before the roosters crowed. She carried water from the river, tilled the tiny patch of farmland, and stitched one cloth into makeshift clothes. And every evening, she whispered prayers over her daughter's head. She spoke of dreams, of a life far beyond the village, far from poverty and hunger. But the world around them was harsh. Her husband's only brother, a rich man, lived in the city with wealth spilling from his gates. But whenever Agatha asked for even the smallest help, he would wave her away with a sneer. Work harder, he would say. A girl like yours will never amount to anything. Still, the woman struggled. She sold oats, she sold her small farm products, she sold the few possessions she had, until one day there was nothing left but her own wrapper, faded and torn. And yet, she carried it with pride because it represented the last thing she could give her daughter, a chance at a life beyond struggle. At night, she would hold her daughter close and whisper, "One day, my child, you will walk in a world I cannot reach. You will not suffer as I have suffered." The daughter listened, dreaming of cities with bright lights, foreign streets, and people who spoke a different language. But she did not yet know the cost of the sacrifices behind those dreams. She did not yet know that love could be silent, tireless, and invincible, walking in the shadows while the world laughed or ignored you. When Agatha ran out of options, she turned to the rich uncle, the man whose wealth could have eased her burden. She begged, pleaded, and explained the urgency. But the uncle scoffed. "Why should I waste my wealth on a child who isn't mine?" he sneered. and ordered his gateman to throw her out. Before she could finish, the gateman stepped forward. "Leave now, woman," he barked. Agatha, trembling but determined, was pushed toward the dusty road. Her eyes met their uncle's, silently asking for mercy. But he only looked away. With nowhere else to turn, Agatha went to another wealthy man in town. He listened, but demanded something precious in return: her farmland. Her heart ached. For how long would she survive without her farm? With shaky hands, she handed him the documents to the land. The man nodded, counting the money, but the cost weighed on her like a stone pressing against her chest. That land was more than property. It was memory, life, and survival. Yet, she gave it willingly, whispering a prayer that her daughter might live a life free from such burdens. The morning Annabel left, Agatha stood by the gate, her wrapper thin and sun-faded, tears streaking her face. The girl, dressed in clean clothes, held her mother's hands tight and looked into her eyes. "I will wipe your tears one day, Mama," Annabel promised, her voice sweet, almost like a lie she believed herself. The mother smiled weakly, clutching the girl close for one final embrace. Then Annabel walked away, the dusty road swallowing her figure as the mother stood in silence, heart heavy with both pride and fear. Little did she know that her dreams would one day return, crashing through the gates of her quiet village and shattering everything she held dear. Years passed, and with no farmland to depend on, Agatha worked tirelessly on other people's farms, praying each night for a letter, a phone call, or a sign that all was well with her daughter. But nothing came. Annabel did not write. She did not call. The daughter who had promised to wipe away her mother's tears was sending her wealth to her wicked uncle, calling him father, planning her life in luxury, and forgetting the woman who had given her everything. The mother's lips remained sealed in silent suffering. Her nights were long and lonely. Villagers whispered about the girl's success abroad, but no news reached the woman who had made the ultimate sacrifice. Then, one day, a villager came with the news. Annabel was returning home with a foreign man, engaged and preparing for introduction in town. Agatha's heart tightened. Fear, hope, and dread collided inside her. The sacrifice, the sleepless nights, the lost farmland, all seemed to hang in the balance, teetering on the edge of her daughter's new life. No, it couldn't be her daughter. But if at all, she knew she had to see for herself. She had to confront her daughter, no matter the humiliation. Agatha walked towards Uncle Ejike's compound, every step heavy with memory, pain, and desperate hope. She had spent years silently praying that her daughter would honor her, that the promise would come true. Then, just as she reached the gate, everything broke. Agatha, on sighting her daughter, rushed forward with hands outstretched and tears rushing down her eyes. Before she could reach Annabel, the girl shoved her to the ground. Dust rose around her frail body. I don't know her. She's just a beggar, Annabel said, with a cold voice, stopping the man beside her from helping. Agatha lifted her face slowly, her eyes wide, full of tears, shock, and disbelief. Whispers spread through the compound, but no one moved. No one dared to spill the truth. The man's hand froze where Annabel had gripped it. His eyes darted between the fallen woman and Annabel's cold face. Shock hardened into anger. Why? He began, but Annabel ignored him. Her gaze fixed on the compound walls as though they could shield her from the truth. Agatha struggled to rise. Her knees scraped and dusty, but her voice was steady now, quivering with the weight of years. You did this to me, Annabel, she said, every word dripping with emotion. You call me a beggar before these people? Tell me, where were they when I starved so you could eat? Where were they when I sold everything for you to travel to the white man's land? For 6 years, I suffered, praying for your well-being and hoping that one day you would come back and wipe the tears off my face. But what did you do? You returned in secret to the very man who refused to spend a kobo on you, who called you worthless. The whispers in the compound swelled into murmurs of disbelief. Some villagers gasped. Others shook their heads in silent judgment. The fiancé's expression darkened. He stepped back, his patience snapping. I cannot stand here and watch this, he said, his voice low but firm. If this is how you treat the woman who gave you life, he said quietly, then I do not know you at all. With that, he turned, his expensive shoes clicking sharply against the marble floor as he walked away. Annabel's hand tightened on knocking. She had no one to hold on to. Agatha, still kneeling in the dust, felt something surge through her. A mix of pain, despair, and righteous anger. She rose, packing a handful of sand in her hand. With trembling hands, she lifted the sand to the sky and pointed at Annabel. Annabel, for what you have done today, I curse you. You will never know peace. You will sow, but your harvest will rot before your eyes, she shouted, her voice echoing across the compound. May the years you have stolen from me will return to you on sorrow. May the walls you flaunt blind you to the pain of your own blood. The words fell like stones. Even Uncle Ejike, standing behind the gate, froze in shock. For the first time, his wealth and power seemed powerless against the weight of truth. Annabel stood still, her pride shattered. Her education, her fiance, her fancy clothes, they meant nothing now. For the first time, she saw the face of the woman she had wronged and the weight of years of neglect, of turning her back on the one who had given everything for her, crashed down. But she said nothing. Pride still clung to her like a second skin, even as tears threatened. Back at the hotel, Harrison, her fiancé, confronted her with the truth. She told him everything, how her uncle had manipulated her to hate her mother, how he told her that her mom was responsible for her father's death and was also planning to kill her. Harrison shook his head in disbelief. You believed him? The same man who never lifted a finger to help you? Tears filled Annabelle's eyes. Tears of regret. I'm sorry, she said with a shaky voice. You should be saying that to your mom, not me, Harrison said. The next day, with trembling hands and a broken spirit, she returned to the village, hoping for forgiveness, hoping to reclaim the mother's love she had so carelessly denied. But the mother, who had suffered in silence for years, was no longer soft. The memory of that shoe, the curse, and the decades of silent suffering burned in her heart. When Annabelle approached her, tears in her eyes and humility in her voice, the mother stepped forward, her chest heavy with pain, and she said, Do not come near me, Annabelle. Annabelle fell to her knees, begging, explaining, promising she had changed. But the mother turned and walked away, leaving her daughter crushed and full of regret. 2 days later, Annabelle returned, this time accompanied by some village elders who pleaded on her behalf. Mama Annabelle, one of them said gently, we know your heart has been hurt, but Annabelle is truly repentant. Forgive her and let your blessing return peace to both your lives. Agatha studied the elders' faces, then her daughters. She saw the brokenness etched into Annabelle's face, the humility that replaced pride. Slowly, her shoulders relaxed. She took a deep breath, and in a voice both stern and trembling with emotion, she said, What you did to me almost ruined my life. But I forgive you for the sake of your late father and because I want to die in peace. I hereby reverse every curse I placed on you and pronounce blessings on you. You will know no sorrow all the days of your life. Tears streamed down both their faces. The villagers who had watched them from afar murmured softly. The mother embraced her daughter, but it was a cautious embrace, heavy with lessons learned and the weight of history. 2 months later, Annabelle and Harrison got married. They relocated abroad, taking Agatha with them. And for the first time in many years, Agatha slept without pain in her chest. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe for more, and stay tuned for the next one.